and welcome back to my channel, John de Silva Photography, where everything is about photography. Today, it's a little different. I'm going to be mobile today, so if I fall down, trip, fall into a hole, anything like that, you got to at least laugh. Make sure that you get something positive out of this video. Now, this channel and this video, as I've said, is all about photography. And I hope that I can pass along some tips, some tricks, and some shortcuts to help you improve your photography. Now, as you know, all of my work that you see on these videos is available, as well as my photography services. So always remember that. Feel free to contact me if you like a print. It is available. Also, today, different, as I said, not only is it mobile, but there is a focus, obviously, on city photography, street photography. I am currently in Bogota, Colombia, and it is resplendent with graffiti, and not just terrible, ugly graffiti, some beautiful graffiti. And as you can see, as I'm walking through, which is what inspired me to give this a go. Now, I might also seem out of breath. It's because I am. We are at a higher level, altitude, and I am used to living at sea level in Florida. So air's a little bit thinner here. It's a little bit cooler here. So I might be out of breath. Before I get into street photography, I just want to briefly revisit my history and education. Now, I went to the Southeast Center for Photographic Studies in Daytona Beach. I did their photography program there, and also attended Crealdi School of Art in Orlando, Florida. And now decades of experience privately and at Walt Disney World in Orlando. I worked alongside many creative photographers who shared and was happy to share their creativity, which is also a very much learning experience. You pick up a lot of approaches. I don't want to even say tricks or shortcuts, but approaches to photography that may be similar or even completely different than yours, but you meld it into the way you make photographs. So over the years at Disney World and my colleagues in Europe, wherever I was, my schoolmates, classmates in the photography program, you pick up all of these ways to see things and to photograph, and it makes you who you are independently as a photographer. One would think street photography is easy. You just walk around a village, a big city, a small town, wherever you may be, and just make photographs. Well, as with most things related to photography, it's not easy. Travel photography, as I've spoken about, is not easy. There's a lot of work to be done even before you travel, not even related to photography, but just the planning. Street photography, depending on what you want to get, I prefer candid shots in street photography. Posing for me is for weddings and portraits, to have the person sit there and give me their best look, their best angle, their best smile, the emotion that I'm going for. In street photography, anything out there in the public square, I want people to be themselves, to be unaware that I'm there with a camera. Now, of course, with today's cameras, they're big and bulky. It's kind of hard to keep that from being made aware of. In the past, I've used smaller cameras where I can see the screen and compose and get my photograph. It's much trickier with a DSLR camera because they are so big. So I have learned through practice and help with other photographer friends who also love to do street photography. I've learned to hold my camera around my waist level. Usually, of course, it's on a strap, but benignly just carrying it at my waist and then setting my focus at the distance that I need, the f-stop, everything, so to give myself a better chance of having the picture that I make to be in focus and properly exposed and properly composed. Now it is tricky. You're walking around, you're not looking at your viewfinder, but you're pointing your camera in the direction that you want to photograph in. And again, my camera has a silent shutter, electronic, so you don't hear the click, click, click. In the past, people may have heard the click, and that makes them aware of a photograph being taken. But fortunately today, that's not the case. So again, much practice, much time going out on the street, practicing, photographing all the time without looking, keeping the camera away from your face. And that's how I get, when you see pictures of people in my photographs, most of them are taken from the waist level. There's a few, like the boy in Istanbul who is facing me. Of course, there is a language barrier there. I don't understand what he's saying, and he doesn't understand what I'm saying, but I just brought up my camera and he posed with his little toy gun and pointed it right at me, which is kind of creepy. And I didn't expect that, but it is, for me, it's one of my favorite shots. It goes into the mentality of the child. And perhaps, you know, the background and everything, it does emote emotion, and I think that's very moving. Also, there's an image of a woman dressed quite nicely playing backgammon. That was brought up to my face. That was not just randomly at waist level photography, what I call waist level photography. And the street performers as well. Those are all posed photographs. So as you've been looking at these images that have been cycling through it as I'm talking about street photography, we'll come upon now some of my favorites. One of called Madrid Paper Girl, a cute little thing that was taken in 2005. I was in Madrid in the square, and people put toilet paper, tie it on one end and on a vent grate, I guess. And when the wind blows up, it creates a little arch tunnel, and the kids run through it. That was one of my favorites. That's posed, of course. Not posed, but the camera is at my eye. And my biggest favorite for myself and for many others who view my work is what I call girl watchers. And this was taken also in 2005 when I was in Spain, walking through a very small town in the La Mancha area, I believe it's what it's called. And there were these women sitting on a ledge, and they had fans fanning themselves. Very hot morning in Spain. But every time I raised my camera to make a photograph them across the street, they raised their fans to cover their face, and it was kind of like a cat and mouse game. So I really liked the way they looked, and I was trying to get a picture of them. So I walked around the block out of their view. I walked around the block, changed my camera.
And I'll probably never forget it because of all the work that went into this
70 to 200
photo and how successful.
And by the time I walked all the way around this,
now, when you're
shooting people,
especially
in public,
town, you should always remember that
I came across this juxtaposition where they were talking on the sidewalk, and there were men in the background, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. They did not see me. I was far away, and I made a photograph, portrait orientation of them on the sidewalk, several of them. And this one where she's leaning forward and the one behind her is opening the door to their apartment, I assume. Their body positions are creating a V. The woman in the street is whispering in her ear, the woman in the middle, because hard of hearing perhaps, I'm assuming. But it creates a perfect framing for the men in the background who are now sitting on that ledge that the women were sitting on earlier, and it frames them perfectly. It's like they're watching these ladies, and again, sometimes you're given a gift. Sometimes you don't have to work for it. It just happens. This one, I happened to do a lot of work for it, because at first I thought I'm not going to get any picture of these people, these ladies. And they're playing coy with me with their fans. So I just walked around, changed my lens because I knew I was going to be farther away, made sure my settings were ready to go. And when I appeared on the other street, and they never saw me before I made these pictures, I just started photographing what was happening. I thought it was interesting, and this
this appeared to me, this happened. And I remember to this day, that was, 20 years ago. And I'll probably never forget it because of all the work that went into this photo and how successful it turned out to be. Now, when you're shooting people, especially in public, you should always remember that there are rules are different in certain places. Usually when you're in the public, you can photograph anything. Sometimes people will get upset with you or do like the ladies did with the fans. You just sometimes you approach them, which is what I did with the mother and the daughter on the sidewalk picture. And maybe either you offer them money, or if they're selling something, you buy something. The picture of the mangoes sliced into little squares. I asked the gentleman if it'd be okay if I took pictures of the mangoes, and he kind of nodded his head. Wasn't super happy, but he wasn't super pissed off either. But he nodded in approval, so I took the picture quickly and of what I wanted, a couple of pictures actually. So sometimes you engage the people, and sometimes if you're far enough away or you're not in their space, it might not be necessary. But always just remember and be prepared to to engage friendly in a friendly manner the people on the street. Of course, if you're shooting photographing murals or things that they're selling, most of the time you don't have to ask, especially murals. I mean, people are passing by, you just wait until there's not anybody in the scene, if that's what you want, and you make your photographs. But when people are involved, sometimes you have to be careful or thoughtful, and just remember that. But make photographs of what you think is interesting, close-ups, far away. There's a lot of work out there that's very interesting and thought-provoking. And just do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. So that is today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. Hit those buttons. Subscribe to me, please, if you haven't already. And stay tuned for the next video. It'll be on parts of South America, Chile and Argentina to be specific. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you next time.
So that is today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please give me a thumbs up. Hope I've helped you a lot. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.